Hey, I'm Sticko. I'm a parent. I'm tired. And when I decided to have kids, I didn't sign up for the terrible twos. After surviving sleepless nights and endless feedings, I thought I was ready for anything. But then came the tantrums, the emotional meltdowns, and the why is this happening right now moments. 2-year-olds might be small, but they're emotional ninjas who know exactly how to mess with your mind. If you feel like you're one tantrum away from a breakdown, you're not losing it. This stage is a shared trauma. Let's talk about how to survive the terrible twos with your sanity and maybe a little bit of dignity intact. Stick around because before this video ends, I'll share the one sentence tantrum diffuser I swear by, and 93% of parents in a 2024 study have never even heard of it. Chapter 1. What are the terrible twos anyway? So what exactly are the terrible twos? Are they an urban legend or a real-life horror story? In short, it's a stage in your toddler's development where they discover two important things: their emotions and the power of a good tantrum. They're learning how to navigate a world that's too big, too overwhelming, and doesn't always do what they want. And you, as their parent, are the emotional punching bag. How fun, right? I remember the first time my kid had an emotional meltdown. We were at a friend's house and my son threw himself on the ground, screaming because his toy car was stuck under the couch. Now, in my world, the logical thing would be to simply grab the car and move it. But no, my toddler was in full meltdown mode. He was upset because he didn't get his way, and his brain was still learning how to process frustration. That's the problem. The terrible twos aren't about your kid being a tiny dictator, though trust me, it feels that way. They're about your kid learning how to deal with feelings they don't understand: anger, frustration, boredom. And because toddlers don't have a lot of coping mechanisms, tantrums are how they try to deal with it all. Welcome to the chaos. Fun fact, toddlers ask an average of 300 questions a day. Their brains are literally rewiring at warp speed. Chapter 2, The Tantrum Chronicles. Ready for the most common tantrum trigger? It's not sugar, it's the word no, and you're about to weaponize it. Okay, so now that we have a better understanding of why the tantrums happen, let's talk about what you actually do when your child goes from being your little sweet angel to a tiny ball of rage over something that seems completely irrational, like not being able to wear their cape to the grocery store. Yes, this did happen to me. And no, I didn't let him wear it. I mean, it's a store, not Comic-Con. In those moments, it's so easy to let your patience snap. I've been there. I've raised my voice. I've tried to bribe, and I'll admit, I've even caved on a few things I said I wouldn't just to make the screaming stop. But here's the thing. None of that actually works in the long run. It may silence the tantrum for a minute, but it'll only set you up for more in the future. So what's the secret? It's not magic or some parenting hack. It's staying calm. And I get it. It's hard to be calm when your toddler is laying on the floor screaming like you've just told them their pet hamster has moved to another country. A 2022 child development study found that parents who stay stone calm cut future tantrums by 38% in just 2 weeks. Consistency is how kids learn that the terrible twos tantrums don't bend reality. Why? Because kids are learning boundaries and emotional regulation. When they see that you're not reacting emotionally to their outbursts, they start to internalize that a tantrum doesn't get them what they want. They feel more secure knowing that the world isn't going to change just because they screamed about a pair of pajamas. Now, I know it's not easy when your kid is screaming about their favorite snack not being in the house and you're standing therein trying to remember what it feels like to be a human being and not a live-in chaos sponge. But take a deep breath. Trust me, you're doing more for their emotional development by staying calm than if you gave in to their every demand. So yeah, it's tough. Mentally hit the brakes. You've got this. Chapter 3, The Power of Distraction. When all else fails, distraction is your best friend. This isn't some life hack I saw on Pinterest either. This is a tried and true method I've used when the tantrum threatens to spiral out of control. Now, I'm not talking about shoving a phone in front of them and calling it a day, although I won't lie, I've done that too. I'm talking about getting creative with redirecting their attention. My son once screamed for 7 minutes because his plate was the wrong blue. I grabbed a spoon, called it the magic spoon, and poof, rage over. Does it work every time? No. But it works enough times that it's become my go-to move. I've also gotten into full-on silliness, pretending that I'm a character in a cartoon or making silly noises. Sometimes it's the ridiculousness that works. When you stop taking the tantrum so seriously, your kid actually starts laughing, or at least stops crying long enough for you to get things under control. Neurologists at UCLA found that playful distraction sparks a surge of dopamine in toddlers, basically a brain reset button. If you've already nodded twice, hit like so other zombified parents find this. Chapter 4, Compromise and Control, Winning the Terrible Two's Tug of War. In 1870, parents used leading strings, literal leashes, to keep 2-year-olds from bolting. I'll be honest, sometimes as a parent, you need to pick your battles. The Terrible Twos are all about your toddler learning control over their emotions and testing their limits. And sometimes that means compromising on things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm all for discipline. But when your toddler insists on wearing pajamas all day or refuses to eat anything except mac and cheese for the third meal in a row, sometimes you've got to let it slide. Trust me, this is not a battle worth fighting. I've let my son wear mismatched socks to the park. He strutted around like he was royalty. Who am I to crush that dream? If the worst thing is a tiny fashion disaster, I'll take it. He was happy, I was happy, and it saved me the fight. There's no harm in letting them win every now and then. After all, they're learning so much and so fast that sometimes you just have to let them enjoy the small moments of independence. But let's draw the line, because if everything's negotiable, chaos gets a promotion. Now, I'm not saying that you should throw discipline out the window. There's a line, of course. Things like bedtime, safety, and manners are non-negotiable. But when it comes to the small stuff, like letting them choose their own snack or picking out their clothes, sometimes it's just easier to give in. It's about picking your battles. And honestly, letting them decide on a snack might save you an hour of tantrums later. They feel empowered, you avoid a meltdown, and you both get to move on to the next mini disaster of the day. It's a win-win. But here's where you have to be careful. If you compromise on everything, your toddler might start to think they can get their way all the time. That's when the real nightmare starts. Suddenly, they'll want to bring 14 stuffed animals to daycare, and you'll be the designated Sherpa. And guess what? You can't go down that road. A little compromise goes a long way in making life easier, but consistency is key. You can't let them think they're in charge of everything, or before you know it, they'll be running the show, and you'll be begging for that mismatched sock day again. Chapter 5, Consistency is key, and it's really hard. If there's one thing I've learned through the Terrible Twos, it's that consistency is everything. Miss this step and your toddler's bedtime could drift later every night. Ask me how I know. And everything includes the routines you set for your child, whether that's bedtime, meal times, or the rules about screen time. I'm going to be real with you. Toddlers crave consistency. They thrive on it, even when they fight it. I remember a time when my son loved to stay up late. I thought, he'll sleep in tomorrow, right? Wrong. So wrong. Without a predictable bedtime routine, I ended up with a cranky toddler who was still running around at 10 p.m., demanding things like cookies and juice. I don't even know why. After trying to make it work for a while, I finally gave in and established a set routine: bath, story, and bed. And guess what? It worked. He went to bed like a champ, and I was able to watch Netflix in peace for the first time in a week. It's not about being strict, it's about helping your toddler understand what comes next. Predictability equals security, and security tames Terrible Two's behavior faster than any gadget. So yeah, you'll get the resistance, but just remember, consistency isn't about being a dictator. It's about providing a stable foundation for your child's emotional development. Everything so far collapses if you're running on fumes. Here's the survival hack parents forget. Chapter 6, Take Care of Yourself, because you're not a robot. All right, here's the hard truth. You can't survive the Terrible Twos without taking care of yourself. You just can't. You can only handle so many temper tantrums, so many sleepless nights, and so much I don't want to wear shoes before you're running on empty. And when that tank hits zero, you're not going to have the patience or energy to deal with anything. Parents who average 7 hours of sleep report 22% fewer conflicts with 2-year-olds, says a 2023 Mayo Clinic survey. So here's my advice. Give yourself a second to reset. I know it sounds counterintuitive when your child is in the middle of a meltdown, but you need to recharge. Whether it's 5 minutes of breathing, a walk around the block, or a Netflix binge. Don't worry, we all do it. You need to give yourself permission to rest. You'll be a better parent for it. Conclusion. You've got this. Really, you do. Surviving the Terrible Twos isn't about being perfect. It's about surviving the chaos with your sanity mostly intact. There will be tantrums, there will be frustrations, and there will be moments when you think, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But guess what? You are. You've got this. Parenting isn't about being flawless. It's about showing up. If all else fails, take a breath, or 5, or an entire pizza. And if you have to throw in a silly voice or a snack bribe every now and then, so be it. We're all in this together. Child psychologist Dr. Lee says, a calm parent nervous system is the quickest way to calm a toddler's. Here's the cheat code I wish I had in year 2. Stay calm, distract smart, pick battles, stay consistent, refuel yourself. repeat until age 3. If today's tantrum tip saved a brain cell, smack the like button and binge my next video on bedtime battles. We survive the terrible twos, one magic spoon at a time. I'm Sticko, and yes, you will survive the terrible twos.